time for our featured story of the night. In my Barbie world. I'm not lapped in plastic, but it's fantastic. Anyways, I want to talk about what James Gunn said. So James Gunn said there have been conversations about a DC Marvel matchup. That's right. Of course it makes sense. Like, the fact that he actually is being open about this is pretty fucking awesome. But James Gunn said that him and Kevin Feige have talked about it, and he said it's a possibility. He said, who knows? All right. That's many years, though, away because, well, I think we have to establish what we're doing first. I would be lying to say that we haven't discussed it, though, but all discussions have been very, very light and fun. I'm certain that's more likely now that I'm in charge with DC. And the fact is, Kevin Feige said a while ago that he said, hey, look, my standard answer for this is never say never. I never thought we'd be this far with the franchise. And we'll see what happens now that Gunn's in charge. And then at that point, when he was talking about, though, he was saying that James Gunn was finishing Guardians of the Galaxy 3. He had a lot going on his plate. He was just taking over DC. And of course, people are asking him immediately because, like, well, if you run, Marvel and he runs DC and he knows you and your friends, like, why would you not make this happen? It just makes sense across the board for everybody. Now, they have had some crossovers. In 1996, there was a comic series called DC vs. Marvel. And in that, they had the company's greatest heroes fighting each other, and they actually let the fans vote who would win. So that happened in the comics. They also had the JLA Avengers ran from September 2003 to 2004, where the superheroes of the Justice League of America and the Avengers were pitted against each other, and they were actually fighting the Grandmaster, who was played by Jeff Goldblum in Thor Ragnarok. So if you know that character, that's who they were fighting. There's a big man bad. So they have done these crossovers in the comics. But when it comes to the actual movies, everybody's asking for it. GR says it won't happen. GR, it's going to happen. I'll tell you right now, it's going to happen. That's my take on it, 100%. It's just a matter of time. The fact that they would actually move forward and say this at all right now at this point. Like, he was doing an interview with Empire. Out of nowhere, he was like, yeah, you know what? I've talked to Kevin Feige about this. We've had a conversation. I'm not going to lie to you because James Gunn said a million times that he will not lie to the fans. And he'll be straightforward and be like, hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. I'll tell you how it is. I'm not going to lie to you about casting. With Superman, he told me before, like, we're not getting James Gunn back. He had a bunch of statements on Twitter, on Instagram. He's actually one of the most, if you ask me, one of the most, like, outspoken producers you can find, especially in a big thing like DC or Marvel, that they would actually be this open with the fans on a platform like Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or fucking TikTok, wherever you want to fucking tick-a-tack-a-nipple, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Did you say that again, Brian?
Are you 60? What happened there?
I have no idea what happened there.
Drink.
Anyways, so I believe James Gunn. The fact that he would actually say this in person in an interview means that they've had a conversation. It means it's real. I mean, think about this. James Gunn loves comics. He loves them so much. And the fact that he's in charge with DC is huge for him. And he wants this to happen because he loves Marvel. He's done Marvel over and over again. So why would he not want to have a crossover? That's why I feel. So let's Sabrina first. Sabrina, what do you think? Do you think this is a possibility? Or do you think this is just like...
First? That's very interesting.
I mean, do you want me not to?
No, I'm ready. Let's do it, bitch. What's up?
Are you excited about the possibility of this? Do you think that James Gunn is being true to the fans?
Again, I love James Gunn. And I do believe that this is an honest statement. I do believe that there was some sort of a talk. I'm not going to say that it's a sure thing. Absolutely not, because it's a bit of a thing, like license wise to be able to do this sort of thing. But there are characters who kind of share licenses here and there. Like, we've seen with the Sony and the Fox thing with Spider-Man, and there are things that can be done. And James Gunn does have a very good working relationship with Marvel, as he's done all the Guardians of the Galaxy's movies. So I think that it is definitely a possibility. And I don't know if I support it or not. That's the real question for me. Like, I'm not sure. I kind of like them separate, which may sound weird, but I mean, if there was some, like, even like, if you think about like the War of the Worlds, or not the War of the Worlds, what the fuck was the Endgame? Or what was the one before Endgame? What was that one? Civil War?
Infinity Wars.
Infinity Wars. It was a war. Like where it's like 950,000 superheroes fighting it. It was a lot for me. Like I'd rather focus on like a good little bunch and like, get in there on that. Like, so I feel like, I don't know.
I think everyone wants to see Batman and Iron Man together. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, but who is Batman? Who is Batman though? Barbie
We're going to find out in the new phase. That's why James Gunn says he has to establish his people first, what he's doing before we can actually plan that. But the idea is out there. It's out there. And honestly, GR is like, I don't think so, but
he's using it as promotional material. He's just saying it to hype up the new DC era. Because the old DC era
I think it's possible.
Fucking hard. Like, you would have to get WB, Sony, and Disney all to agree. That's not gonna fucking happen.
But Kevin Feige has some people in his pocket.
Sure, there's people who are friends, but
Kevin Feige is like the god of Marvel, so like he could make that happen if he wanted to. But
follow the money, Rachel.
WB on it, but
it's Freddy versus Jason. I very much like that comment, Lexi.
But Rachel, don't you think that the money would they make them so much money, Rachel? Don't you think this is something they would all think is beneficial to everybody?
Honestly, DC would have to prove itself first. Marvel has done such a good job in its MCU that DC would have to at least...
Right, but James Gunn is a part of that. James Gunn made Guardians of the Galaxy, which is one of the most successful franchises of the three.
I think James Gunn is the best chance DC has, but 100%. DC's track record is fucking zero.
True.
Like, they've made 2 good...
Not zero.
Maybe.
Not zero. The original... The Michael Keaton Batman? Come on.
That
was a long time ago.
Universe,
who cares? It was Tim Burton. It was fucking epic.
Right, but that was like in the
at the time. But still, at the time, those movies, those Batman movies with Michael Keaton were great.
Marvel had zero footprint at that time.
I think we need some nerd introspective here from Mike Casey.
Okay.
Mike Casey.
I'm a nerd too. Let me finish.
Okay, Rach. But you seem like you're not excited about it, Rachel. It seems like you don't even care. Like it's not going to happen.
About it. But
you're not even listening to what we have to say, so you're being fucking rude.
I'm listening to you.
No, not you. Him. You're listening to me. He's not listening.
I'm listening.
Brian.
Hey!
Like, you need a nerd introspective. Me and you were having a very thoughtful conversation about the fucking situation.
I am 100% a nerd. MCU for life nerd. But that's not to say that if DC had a good showing, I wouldn't support them as well. But DC's showing in the modern era, in the post Iron Man era of MCU being super successful and cohesive, DCU has dropped the fucking ball.
Wonder Woman was super fucking successful, the first Wonder Woman.
But it's a single film. It's not cohesive to the rest of the universe. The rest of the universe is shit. It doesn't talk to each other in the way that the MCU does.
The Snyder Cut also, I thought, was really good.
Cruz is not in control tonight.
Watch a fucking movie.
I'm telling you, girl. I like literally when
I've
someone
been shut
asks
down
me,
multiple times
do you want to go
tonight.
see a movie? I'm like, how many minutes is the movie? And they're like, it's 4 hours, and I'm like, no, I'm not involved. But I put that on in my living room, and I watched the whole thing, and like, it didn't feel like it was that long. It really didn't, and
it's cohesive.
You haven't needed 5 hours to figure it shit out.
It wasn't 5 hours, but it fleshed out things that the regular cut didn't. Like the regular cut was shit. I literally was like, this is fucking shit. I don't want anything to do with it.
It's garbage. Like, what is it worth?
I know, but watching like the Snyder Cut, it was like you got all this backstory
so much better.
On characters that you didn't have. Like it was so much
and
more.
So they're admitting
fucking Cyborg got his day in the sun.
Cut fucking sucked.
Wait,
it
what?
sucked horribly.
I didn't hear you.
The theatrical cut sucked.
It was fucking
balls nuts.
Josh
balls
Whedon,
nuts, you know.
Josh
all
Whedon
the balls
can
nuts.
Fucking lick a ball sack. Well, I don't
right, but Josh Whedon also worked on the Avengers, which was a great fucking film.
Right, but he also touches children. So
and he had that little, he had that like homeless guy, hopeless son, say, "I did my best," and I'm like, fuck you, man. You know what I mean? You did your best to make it your movie. You know, but it wasn't your movie. It wasn't meant to be his movie. And that's the problem when they do reshoots. It's not meant to be that. And you have a movie that's all like a certain tone, and then you try to make it like Avengers, but it's not. It's like the complete opposite. It's hard to go in there and do reshoots to change it.
To go back to my point, DCU needs to up its game before it can play with Marvel.
Which is what James Gunn kind of said, though, too. He said, like we're not ready for that, you know? He's like, of course we'd love it. I love to do that, but like, I'm just starting off, rebranding, changing it, trying to do the same thing you're saying, Rachel. Make it all one cohesive story that flows into each other, that actually works as one narrative, as opposed to being what DC was doing before, which was like, you know, I'll do something here, I'll do something there, I'll do something up there, I'll square root that bitch and land in a corner over there. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes sense. Mike, what do you think? Do you think this is a possibility, or do you think that James Gunn is speaking out of his glorious asshole?
Honestly, Brian, I'm still just reeling from Rachel's hurtful comment about Madison, Wisconsin. Just because it betrays the depth of her ignorance. So it really makes me feel a lot of compassion for her.
I'm sorry, I'm from real cities.
Well,
Word up.
So where you could have backpedaled, you really just reaffirmed that whole ignorance.
I'm going to double down on Madison all day. Fuck Madison.
The fact that you double down on it.
Hold on. I will quickly say that I Googled this fucking Shrekfest, and it is real, and everyone should Google it. It's fucking terrifying.
Shrekfest is real. Madison was the most educated city in the United States all throughout the 90s. Like, if you're going to find culture in the Midwest, it's going to be in Ann Arbor. It's going to be in Madison.
Just FYI.
But Mike, do you think this is a possibility with James Gunn's comments and with the world we live in and Feige? Do you think it's real?
Yeah, Brian.
Can it happen?
Directly address that. I do remember earlier when Rachel said, Mike, let me know if I'm being too mean. But it seems like at this point, she's changed her mind. So that's fine. We're all people.
I've
we all
entered my
change our mind
supervillain era
all the time. But you know, ignorance is something that we have
to have
compassion for. Dude, Feige and Gunn, like everybody wants to see.
Yes, it
really
is,
it was you said it, Brian. I want to see Batman get in the Iron Man suit. I want to see Iron Man get in the bat suit. I want them to play around with each other's gadgets.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing, dude. That's never going to be a thing.
It can
Did
be
you
a
literally
thing.
just say that out loud? How much
It
less
can be
remember have you drank?
Do you know what a Bizarro World comic is? Do you understand the way
that... Bizarro World.
Bizarro World, but I don't think that's the fucking thing. I think it's like a team up situation to like save the world from shit. I don't think they want...
it would be a battle. It'd have to be a fight.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
no,
obviously. I'm saying that this is a progressive scenario
has to be a fight
that we have where it used to be that canons had to be totally separate, and now because people are more familiar with the way that the publishing works, and because the publishing happens at a faster rate, and it's more like the comics used to be back in the day, that people can deal with one-offs and changes in cast and crossovers, and it doesn't have to be canon forever. And I think that don't think that
it would be so dumb. It would be so dumb.
To just do it for a fucking
Iron Man in the sofa.
Like literally.
I want it so bad. I want it so bad.
In each other's real cities. DC takes place in fucking Gotham and fuck all America for fucking Superman.
Make it a whole world, like Super Mario World. Make it a whole world where there's these cities that live there. They're always saying there's like meta humans everywhere.
They never make dumb movies, Brian. Stupid things that could never happen don't happen in movies. No one would pay money to see something that couldn't happen.
Marvel is into the multiverse, so I guess anything can happen now.
I know they've opened the door to like.
I'm just saying, after Secret Wars, which is gonna be like, again, Secret Wars it's like the battle of all the heroes versus all the villains to save the whole multiverse, and that's what they're building towards. So after that, maybe after that blows all open, the DC can step in. We can have a little.
I think Lexi had the comment. I think Lexi had the comment to beat here with, Harry Potter, chuck him in the gumbo. Fast and Furious, get him in there. We'd love that.
No, I would be more here for a Fast and Furious crossover with Marvel than a DC crossover.
They're pretty much superheroes.
That wouldn't be stupid or dumb.
I would love old.
It would probably be DC though.
And cultural, highly cultural, right, Rachel?
It would be Fast versus DC. That's what it'd be like. It'd be like because just Toretto already is becoming a superhero. I think this next one he's putting a cape on and flying away because before.
Here's the thing.
He's
Marvel
almost done
is
that.
On a decline. Marvel is declining because all of their marquee brands are pretty much over now. Phase 4 and 5 are going to be just it continuing its death rattles. And if DC wants to go on the up and up, then they're going to need to diverse themselves. You don't have Chris Evans as Iron Man anymore. You don't have Tony Stark anymore. They're dead. So what are you even going to do with a DC crossover? Chris
Evans in an interview recently saying that he didn't know if he could go back to that character again as Captain America because he was like, I did so many great things, but but he's intrigued by it though, he said. So
we're so over you.
He's gonna come back. He's gonna come back for Secret Wars. Secret Wars, Tony Stark will be back.
What the fuck have you been doing since you've been Captain fucking America? You did a Netflix series. Like, fuck off, you dumb fuck.
Friend of the show, Chris.
Act.
Don't be that mean. Don't be that mean to that friend of the show.
Act. Do your fucking job. Who turns down
He's coming back for Scott
fucking job?
They offered him that job like 5 times till he said yes. He said no multiple times to Marvel.
It's so infuriating. Do you know how many people would fucking give a leg, a limb, a toe, a fucking arm to do your fucking job? And you're like, no, I'm gonna hard pass on that. Fuck you, you fucking ungrateful fuck.
I would just love Michael Keaton face to face with Robert Downey Jr. That would be fucking sick.
Fine,
I want that shit all day.
Fucking stupid fucking Captain America.
I'm down for it though.
I prefer
what is the story benefit from that?
So Rachel, do you want Pattinson versus Tony Stark? What do you want? You want Robert Pattinson? He'll be like,
Pattinson separate. And Tony Stark's storyline is over. He's dead. His storyline is done.
So much, so
Robert Downey Jr. is going off into the good night. He's done.
Yeah, no, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back because what's gonna happen is
it's a Secret Wars. It's a multiverse.
Let him be dead. The emotional.
I don't want him to be dead. He is so good.
Nothing. If they bring
Secret Wars. If anybody knows what Secret Wars is, it's like they're pulling people from every multiverse. Anytime, all together to fight the best heroes versus the best villains to see who is the best person to save the multiverse. And that is where we're going.
Iron Man rebooted the MCU universe because nobody gave a shit about it until he came in and did a fucking great job. So
he did.
Fuck
he did
all
a
of you
job
for fucking being a douchebag about it.
You need to let him have the emotional impact of his death. If without the emotional impact of his death, it means nothing.
Well, I mean, that's what they do. They bring people back to life. They kill them. It's fucking fiction.
It's getting fiery tonight.
They call us nerds, Brian. Isn't that funny?
I am a self-admitted nerd.
Fuck you, my God.
I'm just saying.
I yell nerd from my glass house.
Okay. One of the best things would be so much fun. It would be so much fun to see. I mean, all the DC, all the Justice League versus the Avengers. Or maybe they team up for something. I think that'd be fun. And the fact that James Gunn is in charge of DC and him and Kevin Feige are friends over here at Marvel. I mean, they've already talked about it. This is a real thing. We knew they talked about it though. But Rachel, it's great though, right? They talk to each other. Like normally, if you didn't have this wouldn't happen. If anybody else ran it, as it's been for years, Zack Snyder's not friends with Kevin Feige. But now we have two friends that are running both divisions.
The properties be great, but not together. They're great.
Well, they can't be great
together.
Well, they should be great.
Stupid.
Well, they should be great on their own. But once they're great on their own, then what's next? We get fatigue. What's next is combining them and then ending it.
Next is an original fucking property.
I know. Well, then why not let them be good together?
In a fantasy world.
Me, this guy.
Or let's bring.
I would
back
love to see him together.
Characters like we don't need to have everything be about the marquees. We don't need to have everything be Iron Man, Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. Let's do someone else.
Well, if Alan Moore would pick up his phone, maybe they would have some original ideas. But he's like, "Fuck you guys."
But no one's doing that.
Let's get Zoltana a movie. Let's get somebody a movie. Like
that Blue Beetle trailer looks great, though. By the way, it looks awesome. So I'm like all about that. You haven't watched it yet. You have to watch it because even James Gunn said like I'm keeping him canon. He said that recently in an interview. I'm keeping him canon because he likes that movie so much.
Because it looks like it's done well.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks awesome. Except I don't think he needs that ship. He can fucking fly by himself. Why does he need a ship? I don't know.
So are
it doesn't
we
make
done
any
with
sense.
Guardians now? Now that James Gunn works for DC, are we done with Guardians? Is this the last one?
I think
this is like this is the end.
Said he didn't want to do anymore.
This is the end.
Unfortunately, so
3 seems like a good amount to stop on that.
Although
but Chris Pratt said he wants to continue being Star-Lord, so we'll see what happens.
I'm sure he will. Like, there's so many crossover.
Friend of Rachel's show.
So much. Not a friend of Rachel's show. Chris Evans is friend of Rachel's show. That's America's ass.
I do not like Chris Evans. Chris Evans can go fuck himself. Let's
run down the Chris's for a moment.
I don't even think he's a good
I like
actor.
Chris Evans.
He's like ish. He's ish.
Chris Pine is the least controversial Chris.
I love Chris
He's also
Pine.
the worst Chris.
Exactly.
He's also the worst Chris.
He's not the worst.
He is not the worst Chris.
How fucking dare you?
He's
Chris
Pine.
Nepotism Chris. He's the nepotism Chris.
No. Chris Pine is like my
you
number 2.
You want to talk about a nepo Chris? Pratt is married to Schwarzenegger's daughter.
Yeah, but that was before he was famous. That's after he was famous.
I mean, he was working he was a bartender in Hawaii when he got his actual break. So someone gave him a chance there. So Chris, I know.
Chris Pine is my number 2.
Well, Chris Pine also, his dad was famous. So
he's my 3rd. Who's my 2?
I think James Marsden is the number 3 Chris.
James Marsden's the fucking shit. He's the biggest on the show.
I felt like he should be a Chris, though. Like, his vibe seemed...
Well, he looks like him. He's got that brown hair and that white dude shit going on for him, you know?
Looks like who?
He looks like a white guy.
He's a Chris, Sabrina.
He doesn't look like Chris fucking Pine or Chris fucking...
Yeah, he does. He fits in there. I agree with Mike.
Chris that we're talking about does not even have the same color hair. You're being ridiculous.
You know what? I agree with Mike because I've also doubled a lot for Chris. I almost call him Chris, James Marsden. So Brian gets in that category, so let's do that shit all day.
Okay.